There really is nothing harder in SaaS than trying to define a really cohesive go-to-market strategy without first identifying your ideal customer persona. I know it may sound like a groaner and say, Craig, I want to talk growth. Let's talk marketing and sales strategies. And you can, and we will, and we have, but really nailing and identifying who you're serving, who you're trying to sell to, who you're trying to attract into your business, and share your vision of what a future state could look like with them is absolutely the first step. In this video, we're going to walk step by step through the exact process I use to define ICPs with my coaching clients on a real business. Let's dive in. Okay, so here we are in our ideal customer persona, our ICP planner. It really is the foundation of everything we're going to do to build a really great go-to-market strategy. Think about like kind of putting the cart before the horse, right? The cart before the horse would be, do I do meta ads or AdWords? Well, if you don't know who you're serving those ads to, then the best AdWords or Facebook ads person in the world is not going to be able to make that successful. That's why nailing our ideal customer persona is so important. And actually, I just absolutely love it. So we're going to dive in. And this is a Notion template. So if you used Notion before, you know what to do here. I've already duplicated this, and this is inside my work environment, my workspace. But if you're just getting this for the first time, there's a link in the description below. Duplicate the document that's in the link, and it will open up inside your Notion workspace. If you don't have Notion already, it's free. Go sign up, and you can get this. It's an amazing tool, and your business will live in there from now on. So you're welcome, and I'm sorry at the same time, but it's really great. So the ability to duplicate will be right up here in the top right corner. Once you've done that, it should look something like this. So from here, we're really just going to fill in the blanks, and we're going to fill in the blanks in kind of three major categories, right? Firmographics, talking about the company level, demographics, talking about the individual person, and then psychographics, talking about their kind of wants, desires, fears, things they're going towards and things they're going away from. Ready? Let's dive in. Okay. So in defining our ICP, first we're going to talk about firmographics, right? Let's talk about the companies that we're trying to attract. And as a note, I'm going to be talking about my business, Castos, as an example when we walk through this entire thing. So for Castos, we're a podcast hosting platform. What kind of companies do we want to attract that are our best customers? I think it's just an important note here. It's not just any customer, because of course, any business can have any type of customer. But think about your best customers, the ones that pay you the most money, get onboarded and get value the quickest, have the lowest support burden, pay on time, right? And just kind of have no objections and are good and easy. Who are those folks, right? And so for us as a podcast hosting platform, we are relatively industry agnostic, right? We're a horizontal SaaS product as opposed to vertical, right? So if you're websites for gyms or calendar booking for dentists or something like that, then you'll be really specific here. But from us for industry, not so much, right? So we're not just going after dentists or manufacturers or something like that. We are going after largely small to medium-sized businesses. Technology is a big one for us, churches, and then entrepreneurs. Probably because I am one, and that's kind of my personal audience brings in some of this, but also just because podcasters typically tend to be personalities of some sort. So company size, right? For us, pretty small, right? So let's say 5 to 50 employees is like our sweet spot. These are folks who don't have too much kind of overhead in terms of their purchasing process. We are a self-serve tool for the large part. And so, we want folks to come in, be able to put down a credit card, pay, get value, get onboarded really quick. So kind of smaller companies, revenue ranges, we'll call this like 1 to 50 million. Certainly could go larger, but typically not a lot smaller. We do have customers that don't make any money, and that's fine, right? That was me when I got started. But we do want to attract our best fit customers or folks that have some money, have something going on. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Location, anywhere, right? We have customers in 100 countries, I think. So as a SaaS platform, you may be geographically constrained, right? Maybe your product is only in French. That makes it pretty specific. Maybe there's something about you're a tax software in Europe, right? To deal with VAT. Maybe you need that. Maybe you're a tax software in the US. You can only be here. Maybe you're Canadian. logistics, right? So that could apply to you. It doesn't apply to us, but I just wanted to point it out. Triggering events. So we're going to have this later as well. But, for us, there are a couple of things that typically happen when somebody wants to start a podcast. So sometimes they're launching something new. Sometime blogging is saturated. I think a lot of people are feeling like that now, right? AI, ChatGPT is making blogging so easy for everyone. Kind of the value of written content maybe going down a little bit. Looking for a new growth channel and personal brands, right? So these are things that happen that people want to start a podcast because of. It's going to be different for everyone, but just think about at a company level, what's going on? Maybe they raised some money, right? Maybe they just had an exit. Maybe they acquired someone and want to bring it in, right? What's going on that makes them want to look for a solution like yours right now? And then qualifications. I think price, like it or not, price is always some kind of qualification. There are free products in our space. So to an extent, like we're competing with free. Kind of tough to do sometimes, but for our best customers, they don't want to use a free product because free does weird things with ads and with content and ownership, things like that. They want to pay a little bit of money to know that our product will be around. So for us, price is a qualification. We want customers who want to pay us money. And I would just think for yourself, like what kinds of other things are out there that are qualifications in or qualifications out of your product and your company for at a company level for your ideal customers. Cool. So let's talk about individual demographics. So at the person level, what's going on here? Who does that perfect customer look like for us? So roles, typically marketing for us, right? Again, we're a podcast hosting platform. Podcasting largely is a form of content marketing. So typically they have kind of marketing role. Sometimes they're comms, right? Internal or external comms. And they could be a founder, right? They could be the person who is the personality and the face of the brand. That's cool. Title. What about title? So typically these are managers, maybe directors, sometimes like VP or C-suite. Not that often, right? These are folks who are on the ground doing the work, creating the content, getting it out there. And they could be the owners as well, right? Think about me, right? I have a podcast. I'm an owner of a business. My podcast is from my personal brand to share kind of what I know and help other SaaS founders along. So that's kind of what role and title looks like for us. It'll be different for you, but I hope that helps kind of share how I think about who our perfect customer is. Age. This one could be really specific for you and your business. For us, it's not super specific. I'll say like 18 to maybe 55, right? Not too young. Kids like that I have a 13-year-old, so kids like that just aren't into podcasts. When they get into the professional world, typically is when they want to start a podcast for our perfect customer again. And then on the high end, technology's harder to adopt for some older folks, right? So we typically don't see a perfect fit customer that's either much younger or much older than this. We certainly have them on those bookends, but if we think about that perfect person, it is kind of somewhere in the middle there. Gender, we don't have any kind of gender, preference or benefit or anything like that here. Both, male, female, good to go either way. And then other demographics, right? Is there anything about you, your business, and your product that a type of person or person with certain characteristics could be more or less kind of drawn to? An example of this was working with a coaching client recently who said that there's a certain kind of ethnic background that is a really good fit for their business. And it was the first time I'd heard that. I'd not thought that like certain ethnicities or kind of racial backgrounds could be a better or worse fit for a business, but there definitely was this very kind of appropriate example of this. And so I might think about that for you and your business as well. Okay, last category here is psychographics, right? So what's going on in their world? How are they feeling as they're looking for a solution like yours? Okay, so what kind of passions, interests, and desires do these folks have, right? What are they moving towards? Okay, so talking about Castos, again, we're a podcast hosting platform. They want content, brand recognition, and personality. I think at our heart, we're all a little egotistical, right? You want a podcast so you can get your name out there into the world. So like they want a brand, they want to be a personality, they want to be a maker. What are they moving away from? I think this is a pretty interesting one. A lot of our customers want podcasting as a form of content marketing to further their brand. So I think they're moving away from stagnation, loss of growth, maybe personally and from a business perspective too. Technologies used, this one's pretty interesting for us. WordPress is a pretty big one. We have an integration with WordPress via our plugin called Seriously Simple Podcasting, lets you kind of manage your podcast from your WordPress site. So that's a big one for us. And then if you know anything about podcasting, you might say, man, you need a place to record your podcast content too. So that would be something like Riverside. And you need a way to edit it maybe. So you might use something like Descript. So again, like what other tools are they using? This is where we get way ahead of ourselves into like tactics and strategies, but you might think about using a tool like BuiltWith to scrape adjacent tools that your perfect customer is using, say Shopify maybe, right? I want to shop my perfect customers on Shopify. That's a really good example here. Triggering events. Did someone just lose a job maybe, right? Did somebody just get married? Did some founder just raise a bunch of money? Did they just hire a sales team, right? All these are kind of pretty good examples of like things going on that from a psychological perspective could be really triggering in a positive way, hopefully for them to start looking for your product. And then the last couple here is like values or strongly held beliefs. And these are a little more intangible, but I wanted to include them in case this really applies to you. Think at like a really deep-seated kind of core level. Like, what does somebody believe that would make them kind of evangelize for your product or make them want to associate and seek out with someone like you and your brand and your product and the way you approach a solution? So I don't know that this necessarily applies to us at Castos. Again, being a horizontal product maybe makes this a little different than a vertical product, but I did want to include this in the template here in case this is helpful and in case this applies to you. Okay, so that is walking through the ideal customer persona planning worksheet. I hope this is helpful, and I'd love to hear as you're going through this, what you learned. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment in the description and below the description here to just share like what did this bring to mind that you hadn't really considered before, and then how are you using this to start defining your go-to-market strategy as you're thinking about channels and messages and offers and KPIs that you will evaluate as you're picking the best way to grow your SaaS business. I hope this is helpful in sharing how I think about identifying an ideal customer persona. If you've watched any of my go-to-market strategy videos, you'll know there's really 3 parts to go-to-market, right? One is your goal, identifying where you want to go. Second is your ideal customer persona and like who you as a company are and how you can serve them. And then the third part really is the part we all get excited about, which is like, what marketing and sales activities am I going to do to reach those folks? But I hope this makes sense that it really fundamentally has to go in that order. You have to have your goal and you have to figure out who you're serving. And then only last can we get into the sexy, fun stuff of inbound versus outbound and paid versus organic and social and influencers and affiliates and all these levers we can pull to serve these folks to achieve our goal. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, what I would love is to drop a comment in below so we can all learn and kind of level up together, right? We're a community, SaaS founders. We're all helping each other level up and grow our business to have a more profitable, more enjoyable time in this entrepreneurial journey. So drop a comment in below. Let me know how you're liking this, what you're stumbling with, troubles maybe you're having, and I'll hop in and answer any questions that I can. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.